The last ruling in the Blake Lively case is here, and it somehow found the most annoying possible middle ground. No giant payday, no punishment money, but yes, apparently, her lawyers still get to pass around the collection plate. Because after 18 months of headlines, accusations, leaked texts, scorched earth legal threats, emergency motions, expert fights, settlement whispers, and enough court filings to make the clerk's office start pricing therapy, Blake did not walk out of this thing with the victory lap her team is already trying to sell. She walked out with a rejected jackpot and a future fight over invoices. That is the part they are hoping everyone skims past. Because Blake Lively did not come into this motion asking for a modest little reimbursement check because her legal team misplaced a coupon. She asked for attorney's fees, treble damages, and punitive damages under California Civil Code Section 47.1. She wanted punishment. She wanted the court to look at Baldoni's side and say, not only did you lose, now you get to pay extra for annoying her. Judge Lyman did kill the big money fantasy though, which Blake had been parading through this lawsuit the same way she paraded through the It Ends With Us press tour, smiling, waving, and completely unaware that nobody was buying what she was selling. Because the ruling makes one thing painfully clear. She could not settle before trial, come back through a post-judgment fee motion, and ask the court to hand her the kind of damages that normally require pleading, discovery, motion practice, and a jury verdict. That is what she tried to do. And when you strip away the survivor language and the carefully curated statements to TMZ and People magazine and the 3 layers of publicist polish, what you are left with is a woman who wanted to skip the line and still collect punishment money. Dress it up in a California statute, wrap it in a bow of resilience, let your team leak the phrase gratified to every entertainment outlet before the ink is dry. None of it changes the fact that a federal judge looked at what she was attempting and told her it was an end run around the constitutional rights of the person she was suing. That is not accountability. That is not justice. That is strategy wearing a costume, and the judge saw right through it. That part of the ruling is satisfying, but then comes the part that makes your eyes start twitching. Because after shutting down the jackpot, after explaining that Blake could not just waltz around federal procedure like it was a velvet rope outside a Met Gala after-party, Judge Lyman still left her lawyers a reimbursement lane on the defamation claim. And that is where this ruling starts feeling less like justice and more like paperwork learned how to insult you. Because yes, the legal explanation is sitting right there. The court said Baldoni's side did not carry its burden to show malice on this record, and under Section 47.1, that was enough to put attorney's fees on the table. But that does not make it feel any less absurd. It just means the absurdity arrived with citations. Because normal people are not reading this case in little sterile legal compartments like they're sorting pills into a weekly organizer. Normal people watched the whole thing. They watched Blake's team march into this fight, acting like they were carrying the moral authority of the entire entertainment industry in one hand and a damages calculator in the other. They watched claims get dismissed. They watched claims get dropped. They watched the case settle for $0. They watched her side spend months turning every development into a press release cupcake with extra frosting. And now, at the very end, after the giant money pile got thrown out, after the punishment fantasy got denied, after the courtroom revenge tour got reduced to a procedural dead end, her lawyers still get to walk up to the window and ask for reimbursement. That is the part that feels like bullshit. Not complicated. Not nuanced. Bullshit. Because if Blake's side wants to call this vindication, then apparently vindication now means surviving long enough for your attorneys to submit timesheets. And this is where the ruling starts doing that special federal court magic trick where something can be legally explainable and still make normal people want to chew drywall. Because after my first reading of it, all I could think was, how did he get to this conclusion? The judge is basically saying 2 things that sound completely insane when you put them next to each other. On one hand, Wayfarer had enough to accuse Blake of malice. They were not just throwing glitter at the wall and yelling liar for sport. The court says their complaint adequately alleged malice, meaning the theory was not some imaginary fan fiction they dragged out of a dumpster because Justin Baldoni woke up one morning and felt petty. But then, for this attorney fee fight, Lyman says alleging it was not enough. Now they had to prove it with evidence sitting in front of him, in this motion, on this record. And that is where the trapdoor opens. Because once you understand the timeline, the ruling gets even more irritating. This was never a situation where Justin got a full trial, full discovery, every document, every message, every deposition, every ugly little behind-the-scenes receipt, and then still failed to prove Blake acted with malice. That is not what happened. His defamation case got knocked out early. The court says Wayfarer had adequately alleged malice, But because the case never got to fully grow into discovery and trial, the proof never got aired in the way people were waiting for. Then, Blake came back on a fee motion. Lyman looked at the thinner record in front of him and said there was not enough evidence of malice there. And that is the part that makes people want to throw the ruling across the room, because a lot of the damning material people now associate with Blake came out later, after Justin filed his complaint and after the case had already been boxed in by procedural rulings. So Blake gets to benefit from a skinny record, then act like the skinny record proves she was telling the truth. So that is how this bullshit ruling works. But normal people hear that and immediately smell smoke, because it feels like the court cut off the road, then complained that Wayfarer never reached the destination. It feels like Justin was told he needed proof from a process he was never fully allowed to use, while Blake gets to hold up the phrase, "no evidence of malice," like she just survived a trial that never happened. And that is the part her team will never explain in the Victory Lap headlines. Because no evidence of malice on this record is not the same thing as Blake told the truth. It is not the same thing as Wayfarer was lying. It is not the same thing as a jury heard everything and cleared her name while angels threw confetti from the rafters. It means no evidence of malice on this specific record, after this specific procedural mess, in this specific fee motion, after the case was dismissed before the full factual fight ever happened. That qualifier is doing more work than Ryan Reynolds' publicist during award season. Because Blake's team is going to take no evidence of malice and slap it on every friendly headline they can find, while, on this record, gets left behind like an inconvenient witness nobody wanted near the cameras. And that is why this ruling feels so gross. It does not feel like vindication. It feels like Blake found the one shiny sentence in a procedural mess and immediately started posing with it like she won Best Actress in Accountability. Because that is the real trick here. The ruling gives her just enough language to sell a victory, while the actual context makes that victory look a lot more like a legal loophole wearing a tiara. And when you pull back from all the legal fog, that is what makes this ending so embarrassing for Blake. Because yes, her side will probably ask for some ridiculous number in fees. Of course they will. At this point, I fully expect them to submit a bill that looks like it was written by someone who thinks commas are a personality trait. They will dress it up, inflate it, polish it, put a bow on it, and act like every email, every filing, every conference call, and every dramatic little paragraph was worth its weight in diamonds. But even if the judge gives them a decent chunk of it, what are we really talking about? A fee fight. After all of this, after 18 months of Blake trying to turn this case into her public redemption tour and Justin Baldoni's financial execution, her final prize is not the giant accountability payday her team wanted people to imagine. It is not some thundering courtroom declaration that Justin lied. It is not the several $100 million punishment fantasy she tried to drag through the side door after settling the actual case. It is lawyers arguing over invoices. And that is nowhere near the victory lap her side is going to sell. Because when you ask for the moon, the stars, the galaxy, and the deed to the entire sky, walking away with a billing dispute is not exactly a champagne moment. It is the legal version of demanding the mansion in the divorce and getting half custody of a throw pillow. For Wayfarer and Justin, is it annoying? Absolutely. Is it expensive? Probably. Is Blake's team going to ask for an amount so bloated it needs its own oxygen tank? I would not be shocked. But in the larger picture, this is survivable. And even if Blake's side gets a few $100,000 in fees, that money goes to lawyers, not into Blake's pocket like some grand moral jackpot, compared to the punishment money she was chasing, and that is the part her press machine cannot fix. Blake Lively wanted this ending to say she was vindicated. She wanted the court to punish Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer for daring to fight back. She wanted a moral victory with financial teeth. Instead, she got a legal leftovers plate and called it a banquet. No jackpot, no revenge fantasy, no giant check with her name on it. Just lawyers arguing over invoices while her team tries to convince everyone the receipt is a trophy. And if that is the victory lap, somebody better tell them to stop throwing confetti before the billable hours start again.
That's my opinion!